I want to talk to Irish people out there, okay? Now, what I mean by Irish people is the people who were defined as Irish at the inception of the state. Not people who came in through the Schengen zone, who maybe back in their own countries were stirred up by NGOs to come to Ireland either because they were promised economic prosperity or they were, they were promised good things, right? That's not who I'm talking to. I'm talking to Irish people, all right? Irish people who, people have all these arguments about, Vikings, Normans, Gaelic, Celts. It's everybody that was there in the country during the inception of the Irish state. I think it's maybe 1916 to 1920 something, 28, I think. So I'm talking to you. You're not racist, okay? And even if you are, so what? Okay? All racist is, define it. I challenge you to define it. Define racism, okay? So you have all of these anti-racist groups popping up on Facebook. What they are about is they are the boot on your throat so that you can't speak up and speak out about wanting to keep your country for your own people. Okay? That's all that is, right? I've had people call me a racist who, it's a spell word, It's a spell word. Basically what it is it's going, he's a racist. It's a spell word. It's a wizard's word. It's basically, it's been used to stir up a particular way of seeing somebody as negative, okay? Now, that's the way it's being used politically at the moment and sociologically. It's being used to say, don't go near that guy because he is not seen favorably in the light of society. That's basically what that magic spell wizard word does. And these are the words which are being bandied around at the moment as a way to do that to certain people. So it's like painting a target on a person's forehead and saying, clear away from that guy, clear away from that guy, because he's a racist. It's, okay? It's like, they're now marked. I don't care. I really don't care. All right? First off, I've said it many, many times before to people who I talk to. I don't care about race. I don't care about any of that stuff. They're all people to me. They're all living beings to me. I love all living beings right down to ants. I love ants. I really do. I love ants. Their patterns they make when they're all busy and around just sends me into a really relaxed state. I love it. And I love the whole thing they have with their structure, social structure and all of that, and underground and everything, and overwintering. They're just amazing creatures. So anyway, back to what I was saying. In the olden times when we adhered around an identity, we were Irish because we were the people who lived in this country after coming out from English oppression and rule, okay? We were Catholic, we were Christian. This is how we adhered our identity. This is how we adhered ethnicity, but mostly national identity within the country. So what's the difference between, a nationalist, a patriot, and a racist? Well, like by definition, a racist is somebody who doesn't like another person because of their race. Like that's the definition. I don't like that guy because he's black. I don't like that girl because she's darker color. I don't care about that. Like it's obvious that the people who are flooding in here, some are from Africa, some are dark, some are from Pakistan and India. They shouldn't be here. They have countries. We only have one. So my argument is not that I dislike those people, it's that they shouldn't be here. This country is for the Irish people, passed on by our ancestors. It's our shared cultural and historical heritage, you know? It's our land, it's our homeland. So there's been a systematic dismantling of our identity, okay? When we lost Christianity, when we lost our adherence to Catholicism, that was a big part of it. So now we're a secular nation and we didn't stand for anything. We had no meaning. We have no purpose. Cultural Marxism took away our ability to want families, for men to be men, for women to be women, for women to have meaning and purpose in bringing new life into this world, and taking great purpose and meaning and joy from that. That's been cast off through cultural Marxism. And so we've systematically had our identity dismantled. Radical feminism has taken root through women's studies, gender studies. It sets men against women, women against men. And then they open up the floodgates, the globalist puppet government, Leo Varadkar, Simon Coveney. They're doing the will and the bidding of globalists in the EU and the UN. Not of the Irish people within the country. Their interest lies elsewhere. They're doing the will of people outside of the country, you know? So you can see how our identity is continually being dismantled. So my identity as an Irish person being all of the efforts and struggles that every generation of mine in this country went through to give me my Irishness is dismantled by my government, because my government goes, you can now stay in the country for 5 years and pay out €1,000 at the checkout till. Now you're Irish. What does that do to my identity as a person who inherited all of the struggles and efforts of my ancestors, generation after generation, to give me my Irishness, to give me a piece of land to stand on? Okay? What does that do to my identity? Money, 5 years, a little space of time. It becomes about economy. It's no longer about shared culture, shared history, shared belief. Really, what I'm trying to say is that the dismantling of the Irish identity and the emphasis not put on shared cultural, historical, and even ethnic heritage has led to it solely being about economy. Now, because it's solely about economy and not the heretofore mentioned identity of being Irish, once it's about economy, anybody can be Irish. Do you see? Do you see how it works? So once the EU has destroyed the sovereignty of our borders and the UN, two very corrupt and authoritarian groups are actually taking away the sovereignty of our borders for their own interests and the interests of elites, globalist elites, and the cabals that work behind the scenes, okay? They're basically, by our identity being dismantled, that suits them. It suits them to have a slave working class. So once again in history, the Irish people are being over, okay? They're being, for the umpteenth time in their own country, they're being over to suit a foreign power and foreign interests. So Irish people, I'm talking directly to you. Gemma O'Doherty's anti-corruption movement is having a meeting at 7:30 at the Imperial Hotel tomorrow night. Now, that hotel and another hotel that she booked were cancelled by paid actors, paid objectors, people who are paid by the state, who have no affiliation, no moral centre, no affiliation to this nation, to their history, to their heritage, their culture. They don't have that connection. So both of those hotels were contacted by these paid actors who basically got the meetings cancelled in both of those. So imagine that. Imagine that in a free Western country, you can't even have a meeting because somebody rings up and calls the people who wanted to actually meet there as racists or bigots or misogynists, and hysterically gives in that information and paints a target on the movement, you see? So now the movement is painted as something not to engage with because it's been given, it's being targeted with the terms used by the politically correct left, socialists, communists and Marxists, people who basically have no affiliation with their culture, no affiliation with their nation, and basically will just take cash to see all of that dismantled. They live for the now, they have no morals, you know? Family doesn't mean anything to them, the future means nothing to them. So if you see the changes happening within your country, of course they're all people that are coming here. Masses of them, absolutely. I even saw huge groups of Spanish and huge groups of Italians are coming here, and they're being stirred up at source. They're being stirred up in their home countries by NGOs. It's been happening with the third world, NGOs going out to the third world, stirring them up, even paying them in sub-Saharan Africa, paying them money to make their way to Europe. You know. Like, you need to wake up, Irish people. You need to wake up. Your well-being, your altruism is being used. It's being used as a weapon against you in your own society. And the Irish, again, are being made to pay the price for somebody else's desires. You know? This country was passed on to the Irish. It wasn't passed on to the entire world. It wasn't passed on to the Chinese. Wasn't passed on to the Africans. Wasn't passed on to the Indians. It wasn't passed on to the Pakistanis. It wasn't passed on to the Polish. It was passed on to you, the Irish. This little country. Ireland. Not China. Not Poland. Ireland. This is Ireland. You know, it might be hard to get the grey matter around that, but this is Ireland. And it was passed on to the Irish. Now, I know the Polish came here in the 90s and they worked, and they were fantastic people, the work they did, absolutely. And they are a fantastic people. But this is all this is all the result, this is all the knock-on effect of globalism and large Marxist, communist-style structures like the EU and the corrupt organised cabals working behind and within the United Nations to actually slowly but surely dismantle a people's identity so they can do with that country what they want, which they're doing right now. By flooding this country with people from all over the world, it'll make it impossible for the Irish to keep continually calling themselves Irish or having a right to their own land. It has to stop. It has to stop, because this will be a multicultural hellhole in another 20, 30 years. You look at this in any of the countries that have tried multiculturalism, it doesn't work. Look at the Balkan regions, okay? Look at the LA riots. Look at London at the moment. There's a higher crime rate, higher stabbings, acid attacks than New York. London, the white native British people of Britain are now a minority in their two major cities, London and Birmingham. And that's wrong. That country was passed on to them. It wasn't passed on to the masses of hundreds of thousands of people where the doors were thrown open by Tony Blair, who is now at the moment seeking to undermine Brexit, because the British people want to take back the security of their future. All right? And this guy who actually threw the doors open to mass immigration, Tony Blair, who was once a prime minister for them, is now doing the same thing. We know what this guy is about, you know. He's about the same thing as our Taoiseach, Leah Varadkar, and Simon Coveney are about as well. Okay, so I ask you, stand by Anti-Corruption Ireland, Gemma O'Doherty, stand by her, I've chosen to stand by her because I've researched for 2 to 3 years everything that she's talking about. She re-echoes everything that I have independently researched and looked up. And so I'm going to believe in this person. She's also a journalist who has suffered at the hands of the mainstream media, who is owned by the powers that be, you know? The globalist puppeteers pulling the strings. So, anti-corruption Ireland is having a meeting tomorrow night, Monday, 7:30. You can check out Gemma O'Doherty's YouTube channel. She might have a video tonight, Sunday night, talking about it. So, I'm just asking the Irish people to wake up before it's too late. All right. We've all inherited this land. It's our land. It's not everybody else's land. It's your land and my land, the Irish people. Okay? And there's nothing racist, there's nothing bigoted, there's nothing xenophobic about saying that. You have a right to your identity, you have a right to your homeland passed on to you by your ancestors.